Now the big one. I'm a bit shocked by this, but how do you think reviews affect your conversion rate? So the answer is
Welcome to the Real eCommerce podcast, your go-to for straight talk and smart tips from the world of online retail.
okay. Let's start with some stats. We're talking about reviews today. So an amazing piece of data research done in 2022 from a reviews and rating specialist called Power Reviews. They looked at 1.5 million product pages analyzed from 1,200 different brands. So a really, really good sample size. And they've come up with, well, I've picked out three statistics which I think are worth looking at. So the first one, 99.9% of shoppers have read reviews. Well, I think we've all read a review, so I don't know why that's not 100%, but apparently 0.1% of you out there have never read a review in your life. Well, maybe that's true. But what we're saying is everybody reads reviews. So when are they more likely to read a review? Perhaps if the brand's new to them, so it's the first time they found that brand. If it's a new product, if they're a first-time visitor to a site, or maybe it's like a considered purchase. So it's not just a very straightforward impulse purchase. It's something that's a bit more considered. So everybody reads reviews. I think that's fairly obvious. The next one down, 68% of shoppers have submitted a Q&A form. Why? Well, you've not answered the questions on your product page content. There's not the information in there that they need. So it's really good for you, but it's also good for them. The reason it's good for them is they crowdsource the answer to what they're looking for, or the answer to the question from all of your previous purchases of that product, and also internally from your team. So maybe there's like a post-purchase question, like about reliability or fit or function. Is it easy to install? Is it hard to install? And someone wants to know, and they get that feedback from real end customers. So it's crowdsourced, it's user generated, and then obviously that's a lot more powerful than it all just coming from the brand. But what it also does is it allows you to see where there's gaps and flaws in your product content that you could beef that out, and stop these questions in the first place. If it's an easy question to resolve, then perhaps you should look at considering to change your product content. So 68% of shoppers have submitted a Q&A form. I think that's really interesting. Now the big one. I'm a bit shocked by this, but how do you think reviews affect your conversion rate? So the answer is double. That's 108% increase on the conversion rate for visitors who engaged or interacted with review content. That's massive. So if you're not putting reviews on your websites with your products, with your service, this is what you could be missing out on, twice the amount of sales. So I think that's important. I think that's why we're talking about reviews today. Let's dig a little deeper and see how we start collecting reviews properly. So what's the role of a review? Well, the obvious one is trust and credibility. We don't believe what the brand or the business or the retailer is telling us, and we want to hear what other consumers or customers have to say, from the horse's mouth, as it were. I don't know how you look at reviews, but I tend to read the really good reviews and the really bad reviews. There are very few in the middle normally, but the really good ones help me understand, is the product well made? Does it solve the problem that it's meant for? Are people, enjoying using it, or have they enjoyed the service, or have they had the results from the service that they wanted? And in the bad reviews, did it break after a few uses? Perhaps it didn't solve the problem. But I guess what I'm looking for when I look at reviews is a trait in those bad reviews. Inevitably, there's going to be some bad reviews on nearly every product out there. But when you look at the bad ones, are there traits where, broke after 3 uses, or broke after, a small amount of uses? That's kind of telling you that there's an issue with the product quality. Not the same size advertised on the site, or not the same color, or something like that, then again, we've got a mismatch in what we're advertising as a product or a service against what's actually being delivered. So, I often look at really good reviews and the bad reviews. The good reviews, does it solve my problem? The bad reviews, are there traits in there? And those traits, again, if you start to see those in your reviews, it gives you an opportunity to address them and fix them and correct them so you don't have them anymore. How many people leave a 3-star review? I don't know many that do. It's either great or it's terrible. Maybe less so with service reviews. So if you go and have a service done, your nails painted or something like that, you might go, okay, yeah, it wasn't great, but it wasn't rubbish, so I'll give them a 3-star. Sometimes when you review food, like takeaway food and stuff like that, you might go, oh, it wasn't rubbish, but it wasn't great. Generally, most people don't leave 3-star reviews, purely because it's either a 5 or a 1. So the 2, 3, and 4 are a lot less common. There's a really interesting story from a company called Three-Sided Cube. They're an agency close to where we are in the UK, and they built the Red Cross app for the US. And the Red Cross app teaches you how to do CPR. Now, there was a review on there that said, "This literally saved my friend's life." 4 stars. I mean, 4 stars. What have you got to do to get a 5-star review when your app that teaches you how to do CPR saves your friend's life? I mean, that's just crazy to me. But there are people that will just review, never give a 5-star. So occasionally you do get people that have 4-star reviews. But as I say, that middle sort of tranche of reviews, 2, 3, 4 stars, pretty uncommon. And certainly when I'm looking to review a product or a service, I'm not looking at the 2, 3s or 4s. I'm looking at 5s. I'm looking at 1s, and I'm looking at the balance between how many 5s are there and how many 1s are there, and trying to make a judgment call on that. So yeah, interesting story of an app there. So what we're trying to do here when we're looking at reviews is really reduce risk. As a user, we're coming onto a website. We may not have been on there before. We've got a problem. This says it solves it. Does it? And when we're trying to reduce risk, what risks are we talking about? Well, time is a big one. So, I'm not going to have the time to return this and then go and find another person to order, another retailer to order from. So I want to get this right the first time by spending a little bit more time looking at the reviews rather than placing an order, find out it's wrong and having to go through all that and losing time. So I'm reducing risk by, saving myself time. Quality, obviously, that's a big one. Am I going to use it 5, 6 times and then it fall apart on me? And then again, I've got to order another one from someone else. So I've got to find another retailer, order it again. So I'm reducing risk by trying to assess the quality, and the reviews help me with that. The urgency. So if it's something that I'm impatient for, I need it now. You might need it for this weekend. You're a fisherman and you're off fishing and you need some, stuff for your fishing trip. Well, then I'm a little bit impatient. So are delivery times accurate? If it's like a delivery sensitive product, really what we're looking for then is a trait of, are there lots of late deliveries, which can happen, and people tend to leave that in the reviews as well. There's a friends factor. So I want to see other people that have purchased the product or the service. I don't want to be the first one. There's a nobody wants to be like a bridge tester, the first person to drive their car over a new bridge. What if they got something wrong and you plummet to your death? We don't want to be guinea pigs, really. So what we're trying to do is reduce risk by showing that we're not alone and someone else has had this product, had it solved, or had their problem solved, and everything went well. And then finally, the last one is, does it solve my problem, or will I have to keep looking for the answer somewhere else? So if it solves the problem, great. It's going to push me more towards that. And user generated content that tells me other users have had that problem solved is great. Even if your product is free, and I know some people offer free things online or taster services or whatever, and they're encouraging of reviews, you still need to reduce the risk, because the risk is the person or the visitor or the customer is putting in their time. So I'm not going to go and do something free that might take a couple of hours of my time only to find out it's rubbish. I would far rather invest a few minutes into the reviews and find out if other people enjoyed it or had the success that it was meant to bring. Hope that makes sense. So we're reducing risk. Well, we're reducing time. We're making sure the quality is right. We're making sure it is delivered as promised if there's an urgent element to it. We want to see other people that have ordered this, because we don't want to be the guinea pig or the bridge tester. and we want to see that it solves the problem that it's meant to or intended to. Then we move on to how to collect a review. So normally on an e-commerce store, you have two types. You have service reviews and product reviews. And I think quite a lot of customers confuse these two. There's an awful lot of service-based reviews in product reviews, and there's an awful lot of product reviews in service-based reviews. I think they just get a review request through. They're not paying a huge amount of attention to it, and they just complete it with whatever they're feeling. Either it was a bad service in the product review or it was a great product in the service review, and it just becomes confusing. So I think an example of a wasted review, in my opinion, is something like great service, would highly recommend 5 stars. Well, that on the surface seems quite good. It's not going to have like the positive influence on your visitors, and you're not going to likely win any new business from that. It seems like a bit of, one of the old eBay reviews. Great seller, 5 stars. It's like, I couldn't really be bothered to write anything, but you did an all right job, so I'll leave something. And I think that comes from perhaps not trying to curate those reviews. So if you remember, if you've listened to episode 3, we were talking about taking our customer on a journey from a negative present to a positive future. And we were trying to position our products and services as the solution that helps them get there. So your reviews need to reflect this. And you're not going to get the reviews that help you do that, help you move that customer from that negative present state to a positive future state without giving the person you're asking a review from some direction in what to do, or what you'd like that review to, how you'd like to organize the content of that review back. So I would bet the majority of people listening now, and stores out there, you're not alone, just use the default leave us a review template that comes with either the third-party review provider or the email software that you're using. They're just thinking they're doing the job because they're getting a review request. Well, you are, but you're going to end up with one of those pretty, great service, 5 stars type reviews. It's not going to be helpful. You might have gone a step further, I guess. You might have changed the language to be more in tone with your business. You might have put an image in there, the branding. You might have, made the template nicer, but ultimately all you've done is just change the content. We'd be very grateful if you left us a review for such and such a product. Well, you've asked in a nicer way, but it's still not given any direction. So neither work effectively, the standard template or just changing the language or tightening up the template in a sense. So your product reviews or direct service reviews, now this is where your service is your product, should be asking the customer to include the following: what problems they had, how they felt with these problems or how long they've had them, how effective they found your products and services in solving these problems, how great they feel now the problem's solved. That's a really, really big one. Was your order delivered on time? I'll put an asterisk on that just because I'll talk a bit more about that later on, but was your product delivered on time? And would they recommend you? So big one at the bottom there. I think if you just put those questions in an email and sent it, again, you're probably going to get people go, oh, they don't half want a lot. I only bought a £15 something. Well, I think you need to frame it slightly differently, in that their review will go on to help other customers who have similar problems find the right solution for them. So this is more user to user focused than business or, us, retailer to user focused. So it's less us and it's more them. And I think if you frame it in that, we're looking to help other people that are in your situation find the product that's solved the problem that they've got, I think people are a lot more willing to leave a review to do that. I know I would be. And if you frame it like that, and then you ask me, what problems did I have? How I felt with the problems. How did the product solve the problems? How I found the product or service. How great they feel now, the problem solved. Was it delivered on time? And would they recommend us? I think if I'm thinking about those questions in helping other people, I think my response would be welcomed, and I would elaborate to make sure it was a good review. So I think it's important that you frame it. So what are service reviews? So timing on these can be really important, and I often think, why not ask the customer to review your website straight after the purchase? Because, how easy was it for you to find what you were looking for today? How pleased were you with the selection of products that were on offer? How easy was the checkout process? And did we have your preferred payment method? What could we have done to improve your visit day? And would you recommend us? So think about, again, framing it. We're looking to improve every user's experience, and we want your review to help future users. Please, can you help them, i.e., future users, by telling us more about your experience? So, like, we're trying again to get in the mindset of, by telling us how to make ourselves better, you're actually helping other people that are in your position. And I think service reviews, this is about what you can control, right? I'll touch on the delivery in a minute, but once the customer's been through your website experience, that is a service that you have hopefully great control over. And whilst they've just made a purchase from you, are they not in a really good position to tell you and tell other users how great their experience was today? We've got the product reviews. They do what they do once the purchase has gone through and been delivered. But the service, let's get that about a service that we can control, because it puzzles me when people leave reviews about couriers in review requests. The driver didn't leave the parcel in the safe place. Not not a retailer's problem, really. He didn't leave a calling card. I had to collect it from the post office. These are services that you pay for as an e-commerce retailer, but they're not your reviews. So I'd try and exclude these from your store, because they're not a service you control. So my asterisk really is, I would try and discourage feedback about the courier service. Delivery on time is part of your promise, so fine to answer that. Was it delivered on time, like we've said in the previous questions? Because part of that service is you dispatching it on time. Have you got it in stock? Did you get it out? Did it arrive on time? But negative reviews about the actual courier service, they're not things that you can control. So what I would do in your review requests is just say, if you'd like to leave a review about our courier's service, please do so here, and then direct them to the DPD or whoever you're using for delivery. That way, they're actually reviewing the courier on the courier's website for they didn't leave a calling card, or they, or a positive review if there is one. Oh, he left it in the safe place, or I was pleased to get that on time, or whatever. They can do that directly on the courier's website without it having to affect your reviews. Because 9 times out of 10, if someone's reaching out to say something bad about the courier, on your website, that's not going to look good, and it's not a service you can control. So the final part really is the reviews placement. So where are we going to put these? So landing page reviews. We spoke in episode 1 about the landing page structures. You might remember from that, the Tony Robbins, he's got like a football field format that he uses. If you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to that. It makes sense. We want to use reviews at the heaven if you do stage of your landing page. This is where you talk about your product having resolved the pain points of the customer needs. And reviews deal with, remember, eliminating that risk and building trust. So in the closing stages of that user journey or that landing page journey, we want to be able to show people that we're eliminating risk and building trust, because the reviews we're putting out there, it's what I spoke about a minute ago. What problems did they have? Well, we're going to address the problems that they had, so they understand it's a bit of a Me Too thing. Yes, okay, the same problem, I have that. How they felt with these problems. So, they might have had a discomfort medical thing for a number of months or whatever, and then how effective they found your products to solving those problems. So by taking this supplement, these medical problems went away, and how great they feel now the problem's solved. So I can get on and live my life. I haven't got to worry about this. Was your order delivered on time? Well, yep, it came on the right time. And would you recommend us? Yes, I've been suffering this so long that this has completely changed my life, and now I can spend more time with my family, or whatever it is. That kind of review at that stage in your landing page journey, it's kind of showcasing how great life is with the problem fixed, and seeing like real customer feedback. And remember, this could boost your conversion rate by double, like 108%. So placing those reviews at the critical point where someone's gone through your product information and they're at the stage where they want to feel they're not the guinea pig and someone else has had that problem solved with your product or service, this is the ideal place to put them. They don't have to be third-party reviews. They can be, you can collect these reviews via email and put them into a landing page. You can use kind of social embeds or user-generated content systems out there, but even manual testimonials that you can add via your website admin panel, I think still provide that authenticity, because the authenticity of this is the words that come from the customer. You're not going to be able to fake the response to those questions. They're going to have to evoke an emotion or a response from that customer. And I think that those words are going to prove that they're genuine. You can add credibility, like some of the reviews systems do this automatically. Might add a profile image, might add images of the products being used or a link to a social account. But yeah, don't worry, they don't all have to be third-party reviews for this and have a cost to the review service. I think you can curate these using your own system if you need to. Service reviews, well, this is just kind of like a simple header or footer, normally a widget. Like if you're using Trustpilot or something like that, they'll give you a widget that you can embed in the header or the footer. Another good placement is at the basket or the checkout, where the order kind of placement concerns are raised. Just as a reminder, this is the overall rating, not the reviews themselves. So all we're really looking for this is like a reassurance badge to say, this is a 5-star, 4.9, 4.7 service product company. And we're just really looking to remind them of your success. Product reviews. We have 2 reviews widgets to consider here. So we've got the reviews ratings widget and we've got the reviews detail widget. So reviews rating widget, the optimal position here is near the product title and the price. It's normally like a summary review score, like an average rating or a number of stars. It's normally done visually, and it will say how many reviews there are, like 5-star, 3,000 reviews or whatever it is, or 4.5 stars, 1,000 reviews. The reasoning we have this here, well, it makes it immediately visible. It's one of the first things the customer sees when they come to the page, the product page. And this helps set the tone if the ratings are good. It reinforces the value. So seeing high ratings next to the price can help justify cost. And also potentially increase conversion, as we've seen with statistics. And importantly, it's building trust. So early exposure to positive reviews can build trust in the product quality and the service quality. Next on the product page, we've got the reviews detail widget. So this is where we've got the actual content of the reviews, not just the summary stars. The optimal position for this is below the product description or specification and above the fold. So the reasoning for that is engagement normally comes after interest. So once the customer is interested, after reading the product title, the price, and things like that, reviews can then provide like social proof needed to nudge them towards a purchase. Detailed insights, so placing detailed reviews below the product description, so customers can like transition between learning about the product and reading about users' experiences. So again, that's a really kind of flip-flop action when you're on e-commerce is, I'm now going to absorb the information about the product. Oh, and how do people respond to this product? And you may want to go back and forth between the two, because it's kind of like, this is where people are making critical decisions about making a purchase. They're de-risking. They're trying to find out, is it going to solve the problem? Am I going to waste my time? That sort of thing. Above the fold, everybody says above fold for everything. You've almost, running out of space there. But ensuring that at least some of the reviews are visible without scrolling can significantly increase the chances that they'll be read. So even if they're just poking above the fold, I think that's probably a good position to look at. Then we've got some additional recommendations. So some of these you might need development with. Some of them, they might come out of the box with the third-party reviews widget providers. But let's have a look. So like filter and sort options. So it helps for detailed reviews to provide options to filter by star rating, date, relevance, that sort of thing. And it helps the customer find the most relevant reviews for them. Highlighting top reviews. So, you could feature a couple of the best reviews that you've got in a really prominent position in your customer journey or on the page. So again, that's helpful. Visual cues, like using stars and other visual elements like badges or verified purchase badges to make reviews stand out and easy to interpret at a glance. Responsive design, well, make sure the UX and all these reviews is seamless for all the device types. As we've said, like incorporating these strategies can help leverage customer reviews to build trust, drive sales, and make the most out of social proof, provided by buyers. When we actually get that investment from our customers and our buyers, we need to use that to help encourage other buyers to become, or other visitors to become buyers and customers. So that's it. You only try to get reviews for factors within your control. Ask questions in your reviews that give guidance to the review content you want, and position them where customers feel the product is right, but the risk is high. Remember, reviews equal de-risking. We're trying to de-risk when we're reading reviews, and that's my summary.
Follow the Real eCommerce podcast and visit realagency.co.uk for more e-commerce content like this.